This episode I just wanted to take a minute to talk about some of the wood I use in the projects that you guys have seen and will see in the future. I was actually at my sawmill at the sawmill that I go to all the time to get the exotic woods and the different types of wood that I need for my projects. This afternoon I was looking for the piece of wood that I will need to replace the axe handle for the HB axe restoration project. So I was on the lookout for different types, and every time I go there I always look at what they have, lying around in terms of exotic woods, any pieces that I see that I kind of catch my eye. And I found something pretty special. And that kind of just gave me an idea of why don't I talk. Like I wanted to share that piece with you guys. So since I'm going to talk about that one, I might as well. It gave me the idea to talk about the other types of wood that I use, like I said, in the shop. So I'm just going to go through. I got them laid out here. Okay, so maybe if I can catch both in one. Okay, so let's start with the basics. Pine. Other than the one video, it's actually doing quite well. The pine finishing, I was really surprised. It was one of the videos that I had just done, just as in passing, to show how I've gotten to get really good results with staining pine. If you didn't see that, I'll put a link in the description, or a link, right here. To that video, and it's surprising the amount of I think it's like 15,000 views, which is like pretty good for, like I said, it's maybe 2, 3, or 10-minute video on just how to control stain, because this wood in particular does not absorb stain very well. It absorbs it like a sponge, but at different places it'll absorb it more and less, and so you get a kind of a patchy network of weird surface. It doesn't look very good. So there is a way to get a nice finish out of a pine. So sorry, I'm digressing, but I'm digressing. I'm going off topic. Anyway, so pine. You guys won't see me use pine very much in the types of projects that we're doing. Honestly, pine for me is what I use around the house for furniture. It's great for it's a cheap, beautiful wood. It's also very, very soft. So anything that's going to have wear and tear. Already, I've done a lot of cabinetry with pine, and with 3 young kids opening and slamming doors, I've already replaced 3 doors in the 3 years that I've been here. So it's not the ideal, and again, it depends on how you build it too. So since I'm just learning, I did it's beautiful cabinetry visually, but there might be better ways to do it structurally. So either way, pine has its place. It's cheap. It's like I said, it's nice, especially if you want to paint it. There are some good ways to get some stain and other finishes in pine too. So every wood has a place. The other wood that I absolutely adore, but it's hard. It is hard to find. Like I said, every wood has its place. So the other one is cedar. I have a lot of cedar in my wood cache. One of the first visits that I had done to my my sawmill, he had about like 1 or 2 pallets just sitting out in the yard with like just an assortment of cedar. So we're really talking like 2 truckloads worth of cedar, and I got it for like 20, 30, 40 bucks for like just chock full of cedar. So since then, I've been building a lot of stuff with cedar. Cedar is extremely soft. It's even softer than pine, I guess. They're both pretty soft, but a gorgeous wood. That you just put a coat of oil on it and let the wood speak for itself. I would never touch anything else on cedar. Like any other oil, like any oil is fine, like teak or. But so pine is great for anything outdoors because it's highly resistant to rot. So that's why you're gonna have like cedar decks and like cedar shingles and whatnot. So it has its place. It's beautiful. So if you guys have something hanging on the wall, I have a lot of furniture in the house now with my log home. I have a lot of things that are made out of cedar just because it matches so well to the BC fir that my house is made out of. So that's like again, you're not gonna see me use for the types of projects that we're doing for the bushcraft survival, even just the woodworking, the knives, most of the time we want something rugged, functional, and that looks good. And that means hardwoods. So these two are softwoods. I think everything else is hardwood. So, okay, moving on to hardwood again. My first hardwood piece that I bought from the lumberyard was this gorgeous piece. It was actually, this was about 8 feet long originally. I think this is about 5 foot long length. This is zebra wood. Okay, so let me get you close to this. And this is not just any zebra wood board. First of all, it's very, very thick. It's so that in itself is pretty neat. What's left of it is about 4 or 5 inches wide by 2 inches tall. The incredible part about this too is that this is actually quarter sawn. Can you see it? Yeah. If you look at the edge, the entire board has all of the rings completely lined up, which means that this board in particular, anything you make out of it won't warp or will move very little, or if it does, well, it'll move, but it'll move equally. When you have a board that's cupped, that you see the rings on the edge you see the half moon circle, that means it's going to cup, I believe, towards the wider end. It should cup like that, maybe the contrary, but anyways, when you have a board that has all of the rings like in a half moon, it will cup, which means that it will bend in the shape of those L's. So that's all with a question of moisture intake and all that stuff. So shrinkage and stuff like that. So this piece, again, this is what's left of it, but this piece was about $150. This is the most expensive I've ever spent on one piece of wood. But I've made some amazing, again, I don't mean amazing like, to me, because the wood, it looks so good. Anything I made with it just comes out so beautifully. This is one of the many walking sticks that I've made with this, and it's a very, very hard wood. I don't know if you guys will be able to see, but like it's quite flexible, so that you can bend it quite a bit. It takes good bend. So, and it's a very, very hard wood. I'm not sorry if I'm repeating myself. So I've made a couple of knife scales. In the first knife video, first custom knife video, I believe we had done this one, and these scales are made with the zebra wood. I had done quite a few with that wood. So gorgeous wood. Like I said, it's hard. So there's some great properties, but it's a lot easier to machine, to use with the sander, because the grain patterns in this are all over the place. Like pine will have some tire outs, but most of the time the grain's pretty straight, so it's easy to work with, and of course, it's being it soft is easier to work with too. But this one, if you look at this, the grain patterns will be in one direction, like for 2-3 inches, and then it'll completely switch to another direction, the 3-4 inches after that. So when you're trying to carve, I actually have carved a spoon with this. Okay, well, either way, my spoon is nowhere to be found. So, yeah, I carved a spoon out of this same wood, and it was a real challenge when you're carving it by hand, because, like I said, the grain patterns are constantly switching, and even if you start down one slope and the grain's coming one direction, you're always going with the grain, so that you don't tear it out. So you're constantly changing your direction of carving just to get it, just so that you don't destroy your project. So really neat aesthetic wood, hard to work with manually, but if you're using power tools, it's a little bit easier to avoid tear outs. The next one, so let me just put that there. Next one, I actually, with this trip, I actually found out what this is. So this is what we used in the in the recent somewhat controversial hunting / fighting knife from anyway, that French manufacturer. Now I'm gonna forget about it. So this wood, this mystery wood that I had gotten from my sawmill, that I in pieces just like this one, just like I had a couple of blocks like this that I had used. So this turns out to be a wood called Merbau, M-E-R-B-A-U, and it's a very dense, very hard, beautiful, tight-grained wood from, I think it's Southeast Asia or something like that. So I finally got a name to it. I saw that he has other huge boards. I almost bought that for the axe handle, and honestly, I was worried about the weight and also the flexibility. The problem with axe handle, the material, is the fact that the axe is going to, one, take a lot of force. It needs to be able to absorb shock properly, otherwise it's going to snap on you. So knowing that I don't use my axes all the time, as a primary job, I could be forgiven maybe to use a wood that's less than ideal. And the top, the most popular wood obviously is hickory, which is actually the next wood that I'm going to present. But it's not what I'm going to use because I wanted something a bit more aesthetic. And also depending on the wood that I find, because I didn't want to buy like a huge piece of wood just for a small piece that I needed for the hand. So anyway, so mystery solved. Merbau, awesome wood for handles, well, for almost anything, trimming. It's just a gorgeous wood. It's extremely hard, like I said, and dense, and it doesn't move. It does not. It has very little movement with humidity, so that's a very good thing depending on what type of project that you need. If there's a lot of working parts and you want something that doesn't move much, Merbau is nice, and it's also extremely resistant to insect damage. Like even termites don't want to eat this stuff, which is one of the reasons that it's very popular in certain areas of the world. So Merbau, really cool. Next one. This is the piece that we're going to be trying to do with the self bow. It's just a normal American hickory. So this wood is all around wonder wood, seems. It's what everyone uses for their axe handles because of the strength and resilience of this wood. It actually, based on the articles that I had read on this previously, you can actually it's actually a good weapon for quarterstaffs and other types of wooden weapons, because the more that you hit with that wood, the tighter the grain will compress, and then it'll actually strengthen the wood instead of weakening it. So that's pretty interesting. I mean, I had never heard that before in other types of wood. So we'll be using that for our first self bow. We'll see how it works out. But either way, I could have used this for the axe handle. It's just this particular one is not the right shape at all, because it's like 2 inches by 2 inches or 3 inches by 3 inches. I needed something a bit wider. So that's it for hickory. You can hickory a lot of uses for that. Moving on. This is the piece that I have found for the axe handle. It's pretty damn heavy. I have to revisit that. But as far as I know, this is what I'm going to be using for the axe handle restoration. This is just a normal piece of, I think it's red oak or white oak. It's oak anyway. So I had found this, and I found it as is. I didn't cut it. So that was one of the biggest reasons that I bought it. First of all, I know that oak is used for axe handles. It's a fine substitute for hickory. It might not be as rugged and long lasting as hickory, but I've seen enough posts, enough response to that oak is fine. And this one in particular is very straight grained. So the sides are a little bit wavy, more on this end, which actually I'm going to cut because I only need 25 inches. But on this end, it is a very nice straight grain, and also when you look at it from the side, it's pretty straight. It's a little slanting, but even if I make the handle out of this area, it'll be straight enough to make a nice solid axe handle. So this is what you'll see this in the coming videos, when we start working on the axe handle. So that's oak. Oak can be used for everything. It's a gorgeous wood, tight grain, usually nice patterns. It'll take a stain well. It'll take most any kind of coloring very, very well and evenly, which is why oak is used pretty much everywhere when it comes to like fancy houses. If you have like or oak trimming on your balusters, on your stairs going up, even the stairs themselves. It's a very, very nice and convenient wood. It is expensive and it's heavy too, so you have to watch out what you use it for. So, ending the video with my find. So, there's an interesting story about this. I don't know how well you guys are going to see this from there. I'm going to move things aside so I can get a bit closer. Alright. Here she is. There. In the light. See the light there. There. So, every time I go to the sawmill, they know me there. I'm there probably about every 2-3 weeks, and as soon as I come in, after saying hi, I head out over to my little corner of liquidations and what do you call that? Like just odds and ends. So based on the custom jobs that they have for their clientele, they often have like just little pieces that that didn't fit in that project or whatever, like the ends of what they cut off. So that is a treasure trove for me because often it's there was often like exotic woods like the zebra wood and whatnot. Like the zebra wood board was actually finishing like an end piece from a batch that they had bought for that a customer ordered. So every time I went there, I would pick it up. So that's where I found the metal bow and these little pieces that I got for free. Like it's just little tiny little chunks that no one else is going to use, but I often find a use for them in my little projects. So this time, the entire corner was cleaned out. They needed that section for different types of displays, and so I was kind of distressed. I asked them about it, and they said, well, about a week ago we had loaded it all onto a pallet, all those woods, and a wood turner came in and bought the whole thing. So I wish he would have called me. So anyway, so this time I was looking around, and I actually I had for some reason spotted this little nook behind some shelving that like I had to, whatever, I spotted this dark board against the wall but behind the shelving. Like it wasn't even anywhere near where the clients are supposed to go, but for some reason it just caught my eye, and I walked away and I was looking for this, and I found the oak board. I went to pay, and for some reason something brought me back. I think another customer started talking to the guy, so I walked back, and it was only about a foot crack to get it like behind the shelf, and I was looking at it, I think I could fit there. So I took off my coat, I squeezed behind between the shelving, and I get behind these 2 or 3 boards, and it's dark, so I can't really see what I'm looking at, but I see that it's dense. I feel that it's thick. That I see that the dark grain. I see that it's puckered, and just for some reason it just strikes me as interesting. So I dragged this shorter piece. There's actually 2 longer pieces, just like this one. So I dragged this out into the light, back into the aisle, and I'm looking, and I was like, wow, this looks like walnut, like black. This looks like black walnut, but it looks exactly like a burl, and it turns out exactly what it is. It's an entire black walnut burl board. I don't know how big this burl is because there was 2 other boards. Oh, I don't know if you can. I think you guys can see that. Amazingly beautiful. I don't know how many projects. It's about an 1.25 inches thick by about 6 inches, maybe about 6.5 inches wide, and this is only about 4 feet. So tiny board, but still, it's a complete burl board. I didn't even know. I had never seen a burl board before. And Terry, the owner of the sawmill, when I bring it up, he says, "Wow, that's a nice board. Where'd you find that?" And so I tell him, and he starts laughing at me. So he looks at the computer and he says, "Well, I can't find a price. So and he knew it was a burl too, because he confirmed it. He says, "Wow, that's a nice burl board for black walnut." And so he looks in the computer and he says, "Well, I'll just charge you for a black walnut board, so nothing to do with the burl." This board cost me $10. To me, it's priceless. Like I'm looking at this and I'm seeing like possibly tens and tens of like dozens of projects that I could do. If we're talking knife scales, I mean, one knife is just this. Like just this little section that's one knife handle right there. Like so I'll be having fun looking for thinking of ways to utilize this amazing patterns, because this with a bit of oil on it, the grain patterns are going to be amazing. So think of the patterns, the neat patterns we got out of the Kuxa, the ash burl, and this is black walnut, which has always been one of my favorite woods. It's extremely hard but very brittle. So you can't have it somewhere that it's going to be used like supporting stress. It could support stress from the top, like as a supporting structure, but anything that is going to be being used, like I couldn't use black walnut in an axe handle. It would snap from the impact. But for knife scales, what else? I know I'm gonna make a custom handle for a ferro rod with this gorgeous board for sure. It's a project that I've been waiting to do for a while. So for sure there's gonna be that. But anyway, in the comments, like, give me your opinion on this board or ideas for projects that you'd like me to take on, because this board just makes my imagination go wild, because anything we make out of this thing is going to be gorgeous. It like the form factor limits a bit, because it's only a slim board, but there's still so many things that we could be using that for, whether it be trimming or scales, whatever. So there's that. So that pretty much finishes like the episode. It does go around the types of wood that I use in the shop. So hopefully you guys, I don't know, learn something. At least it's a little bit informative with the types of wood that I use. If you guys have your own favorite wood that you use for your project, please let me know what you guys use and why. I'll go look for it. Terry has some pretty crazy exotic woods, everything from, I think he has some ironwood boards. He had some, I think he has a couple of ebony boards down there too. It's just that they're really long, they're really thick. It ends up costing me several $100. Like I'd have to have. That's why I keep going back, because sometimes he has these smaller formats which I can afford. So the other thing too I didn't mention for the oak is this actually only cost me $7. So for a new axe handle out of oak for $7 is kind of hard to beat, which is why I love that place, because I keep on the more times I go, I keep finding what I'm looking for eventually. All right, well, hopefully you guys enjoyed the episode. Nothing too complicated this time. So as usual, if you like the content, please click on that like button. Leave comments again about the types of wood that you guys use in your projects, to give me ideas of what you guys would like to see, or things that you've tried that has worked out really well. And subscribe if you haven't already. If this is the first video if this is the first video that you found my channel on, please go check out the other videos. We got all kinds of cool projects and also cool people. Leave comments and interact with each other. We have some pretty neat conversations and give and take with some of the projects that I've had, especially lately. That this has struck quite a few conversations of controversy. It was the first little mini what do you call that, scandal. First little mini scandal on The Apprentice, of some people thinking, "Oh, you ruined this piece of history," and some other people, most people had thought that the knife had turned out great. But But anyway, so if you're curious to know a little bit about that conversation, go check out the video about the World War II. I think it was called combat knife video. So until next video, guys. See you later.